your supervisor in the future instead of someone from HR. Sometimes though HR handles the whole process. So.
Yeah.
And for example, I'm done my first rotation last semester at BMW, and a member from my team and a member from a different department, they went to the Tennessee Career Fair, presumably recruiting for the entire company. And I know for at least my department, the woman who went isn't anywhere near the hiring process. Our manager is the one who looks over the applications online. So it could even be a situation like that where it's just two random people doing nothing related to what you would be doing. So
that's why it's important, no matter what, to kind of get their name and what you talked about. So if they are a person who handles that, you can follow up. I know a friend who followed up with someone after he talked to them at a career fair, and they were actually able to get him back into the process. He'd been cut from the people looking at. Was there a question over here?
Yeah, when you went to the engineering career fair, like last time I was there, they wouldn't let someone go in the door with a book bag. So
Right.
do you just have to, like, there's no way around that?
yeah, so especially for that one, that is, might be wrong, but maybe one of the biggest ones. It's just so crowded in there that they don't want something off your back, like
Yeah.
whacking into things. So I actually haven't been to one in Tally yet. I would assume it's the same thing. They're just so crowded that you just need, like, they let me bring in I have like a big, larger professional purse that I can fit my portfolio or my notebook in and stuff. They let me have that because it was under my arm and I had control of it, but if it's gonna knock something over, they're not gonna let you do it.
Oh, another thing that you might want to think about bringing is some sort of carrying bag, not a book bag. Drawstring bags, I think are.
I think so because they're smaller.
Yeah, I think, but you get a lot of swag when you're going to these companies, cups and pins and stuff like that. So you do want to have something, you want to try to keep your hands free with everything, so that's why we recommend traveling lightly, and having a bag there just frees up your hands to put all the stuff you get, because you'll get hand flips, information and stuff like that. Yes.
So if they offer us swag, is it frowned upon for us to say no thank you?
No, that's fine.
No, I don't think they'll like cut you from your list if you don't want to take a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're fine. Most of the time they're just like, here's the stuff, please go nuts.
Yeah, like take anything you want. Stuff like that.
But speaking from experience, I did not grab a lot of the swag.
One more question.
So what if you're coming from class and you have your book bag, then what do you expect from that?
You can check it. There are services. They'll take your bag and put it in a back room, a safe, like a secure back room, and give you a number.
Yeah. I know the ones at Tally have book bag checks.
McKinley Center does the same thing.
Alright.
Move on. So you're there. You've gone in. You've gathered yourself. You're calm. You're relaxed. You're prepared. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to walk up to your B company, not your A company, because we've already talked about that, and you're going to shake their hand. So we're going to demonstrate a good handshake. Get out of their way. Right, so you don't want to have the fish hands because that's just uncomfortable for everyone. You don't want to be looking away, like up and around and like looking at the ground because that's just, that's awkward. You want to maintain good, strong eye contact, have a firm grip, and 2 or 3 pumps, just whatever is natural, but don't like sit there shaking your hand and don't grab it and try and pull away instantly. So they had a very good example, and actually we're going to do an activity in just a second, and I would like to encourage all of you to shake everyone's hand and really get this practicing because a good handshake can make or break a first impression. And then you're going to go in with your elevator speech. We've outlined what that is on your handout. Elevator speech is who you are, name your major, what type of job you're looking for, what are your goals, and what do you have to offer to the company. So, with that, if everyone would look at the center of your table, there are these little strips of paper, and they have questions on them. So I want everyone to stand up, kind of like we did in the first activity. Go meet new people, shake their hand, and answer your question to them. And when you're done, I want you to switch questions and keep going. So we're going to do that for about 5 minutes. All right, everybody?
Want to start?
Okay,
So I've been into business for a long time, and the most important thing for me right now is business analysis. So I'm planning on integrating business analysis and data analysis to take it down to venture capitalism in India. I mean, for now, I want to do business, but at the very end, since I need like computing technology knowledge right now, so I'm planning on doing that at first, at the base, and then go on with business. Yeah, so I'm probably planning on master's in business administration, probably in finance.
Alright, great. That's my First, I'm going to get I'll feel that I can utilize my coursework that I've learned because it was just for the classes. It's the same thing. But I can move that figure out more and get more knowledge.
Great job with the energy in this room. Great job with the music. That's really good. Make sure you go home and like practice with your roommate, practice on your cat.
I will not hate you for that because I've done it to mine.
So just really quickly while we're getting settled, what was the easiest part of this activity?
Name.
Name. Yeah.
The handshake.
The handshake. Awesome. Okay, I like hearing that. What was the hardest part? Remember the question? Okay. Okay, good. So a good way to end an elevator speech pitch is actually with an important question about the company. And it is a natural way to move things along from, okay, here's me, and then just awkward silence. So that's also where your research comes in. You can have questions prepared for when the elevator speech is over. Anything else? That was super hard. Yes.
Just sum it up with like what my goal is or why I want the job or
Right.
like what I'm gonna offer, like you know.
Right. So because it's a conversation, it's supposed to be a natural conversation starter. It may seem counterintuitive, but the best thing to do to have a good elevator speech is to write it out, draft it out, make a script, practice it in your mirror, practice it to your roommate, practice it to your fish. I already said cat, so I can't say that one again. And then that way, I mean, obviously some things will change each time you say it, but that way you have a clear structure in your mind. You're comfortable with the words that you're going to say.
So I heard a couple of things that we use internally as jargon, such as CODA and PRTM, which no one knows outside of NC State. So just keep in mind that you're talking to someone that does not know our language and use words that they will understand.
Actually, that brings up a good point too. One last thing I want to mention. This actually was a conversation I had with my high school guidance counselor when I was applying, or when I was going into an interview for something, for a scholarship. Be conscious of your enunciation, because words that we say all the time, like career ambassador, career development center, engineering, like it kind of, you get comfortable saying the words, so you just kind of spit it out. But you know, someone who doesn't hear those words, or you know, in a crowded, loud environment like that, you want to really enunciate. I work at the Career Development Center. I'm an engineer, not like I'm an engineering. Because it was just something that she pointed out to me that I was doing, so it's something just to be conscious about. Yes?
How would you like end the conversation, like after you're done explaining?
We're about to get to that on a slide. So great question.
That is a great segue.
Here's the segue.
So ending the conversation, once you've given your elevator pitch and hopefully asked a very good informed question to the recruiter and have the conversation going, you can say it's very nice to meet you. It was very nice to speak with you. Ask for a business card if they have one. You want to make sure you're collecting those so you can contact them afterwards. And then ask if they'd like one of your resumes. Does that answer your question? And then say have a good day. Or just something lovely because you have a good attitude.
Yes.
So they are not always gonna ask for a resume?
They're not always going to ask for one, and some of them are not allowed to accept them. Which is fine. It's
Yeah,
nothing against
okay.
you. It's just that they're
HR
not allowed to take
protocol
them
again.
sometimes. So,
Just always ask at the end. And
all right. That's how you end it. A question?
So is it better to wait until the employer to end the conversation, like wait until they say it's good talking to you, or do that before they do it?
To hand your resume?
No, to
Just
end
end
the
it?
conversation.
Like, are you asking, should you be the first to end it, or should you wait for them to end it? That's a little hard. Some employees are gonna be pressed for time, or like, they're gonna be the top companies, and they're like trying to talk to a lot of people, so they might kind of push it, keep it brief. Some smaller companies will talk to you just for 5-10 minutes on end, just, when it feels natural, which is kind of a hard piece of advice to give, but, because it's not very like
also,
technical,
just
but-
be conscious of their time and your time. One of the things, I talked to one of my top companies, and that woman talked my ear off. I was there for at least 5 minutes, felt like 10. So in that situation, I just stopped asking questions, which didn't really help her, but just kind of, you're just trying to be conscious of everyone's time, and that's one way to gauge it. If the conversation's going really well, obviously keep it going, but if he's answered all your questions and you've answered all that, or her kind of thing, then it's a good time to like bow out.
Because some companies are really small and really don't have anyone talking to them. So the last career fair I went to, I ended up talking to one company for a really long time because the reps were really nice. There was no one in line behind me. But if the conversation kind of veers off the job and veers onto what kind of candy is your favorite, maybe, just be like, if this has been such a great conversation, I'd love to keep in touch with you, or like, I'd love to talk with you more, kind of segue that into something and then bow out, because you need, just as much as they need to talk to more students, I was gonna say customers, you need to talk to more companies to get the most out of it, so.
Alright. So things to
Oh, I was gonna say, this might seem stupid, but are we going like first name or first and last name when we introduce ourselves?
first and last name.
Okay.
Alrighty, so things to avoid at a career fair. You will run into your friends. Try to avoid walking in groups or stopping to talk to your friends. Like we said, you're very conscious of your time, and that's just focus on you and talking to your companies and using your time wisely, because chances are it's limited. Another thing, hopefully everyone knows this, but just to make sure we're on the same page, please don't use your phone while you're in a career fair area. Even when you're not talking to a company and you're just kind of walking around, it just doesn't look good if you're just walking like this. For me, I have a watch, so to keep track of time, and then I just left my phone in my book bag. And if you do need to take a call or something, please step out. Another thing you want to avoid is when you're talking to companies is just being like, so what does this company do? It doesn't really show that you're prepared, and it's very, very broad. You're more than welcome to ask the representative what they do on a day-to-day basis to get an idea of the company in general. But you want to avoid just kind of asking the very broad, generic questions that he or she could probably talk about for 10 minutes. And that's again where your research comes in and having those questions ready. Another thing you want to avoid is
Be smart. You're all in college. You can do this. I believe in you. You should believe in you too. So when you get home, after you've crashed in bed for 5 minutes just to decompress, because that's totally what I need to do, you want to pull out your notebook and the names that you took down earlier from meeting people, you want to make some notes about them. What were your impressions of the recruiter? What were your impressions of the company? What did y'all talk about? And so that way, when you're following up, you have that memory, and when you go to apply, it's something you can bring up in an interview. It's a good way to assess your options after some time has passed. So you just don't just totally forget everything that you talked about, because I definitely did that my first career fair.
So for following up, you want to make sure that you're sending thank you notes, thank you emails, and LinkedIn connections to the people that you met and want to stay in touch with. So your top companies that you met that day, make sure that you send them a handwritten thank you note to the recruiter. And then the rest of the companies that you talk with, send them a thank you email. If you want to stay in touch with any of the recruiters in their companies, if you might want to work for them in the future, connect with them on LinkedIn. It's a great way to build your network. And in all of these messages, the written form, the email, and the LinkedIn connection, personalize it. You want to include something specific from your conversation so it triggers their memory about what you all talked about, who you are, and they remember you. So for example, if I met Emma and we found out that we were in the same sorority, say Emma was a recruiter, because I saw her lapel pin, and I'd be like, oh, I'm in that sorority too, I love the service that we do, what was your experience in it? So we could connect over that, and then in my LinkedIn request I'd say, it was really neat to meet another person who was in the sorority in college. I look forward to keeping up with your professional work. So, yep, just personalize it and send all of those follow-ups. A handwritten thank you note will get you 100 miles.
And you want to send it within 2 to 3 days, I believe. 1 to 3 days after meeting them, whether it was for a career fair or an interview. You don't want to wait like a week and be like, remember me? Because they probably won't.
Question?
How exactly do we know where to mail a note? Sure, but it's not gonna give us like
Information
their
is on.
address.
Sorry. Usually their information is on EPAC, the recruiter's information, and then their business card. If you got that, usually it has something. And we always recommend a handwritten note. It just means so much more to people. And I personally know professionals who keep their thank you notes they get from people. But if you can't find that information, email is always okay as well.
Just make sure to follow up with them.
What if your handwriting isn't as well as others?
Do you know a friend who writes well? I would employ your friendship right there.
Yes. So I mentioned this earlier, but I just remember. So if you like got the interview and everything, do you follow up with the recruiter or the person who interviewed you, or who do you
The
follow up
person you talk to, I would believe.
Right, so, like, if you got it, like, at Von Towers the next day or something, couldn't hurt to do both. You really,
Well, you
like,
really-
the point of this is to make the biggest splash you can in this person's life, and be like, oh, this person made, like, I definitely remember them, this was so kind of them, like, I want to talk to them more.
Were you asking like who do you follow up with?
Yeah, like once you have the interview.
So interviews really important. We recommend following up for sure, absolutely, because they're taking that time to interview you and you were selected, which is an honor to begin with. Career fairs, we always want you to follow up, but I mean, it's understandable. Another important point is you really want to follow up with your A companies and maybe some of your B companies if you're really connected, and C, like, don't stress yourself out about those companies. But it's very important in an interview situation and career fairs, it's just kind of like icing on the cake.
If you want to talk to them more, make the first move by following them.
So I see some people are starting to pull out their phones, which is awesome because we can keep answering questions, but while we're doing that, if everyone else could complete this evaluation on us so that we know what we need to improve on as presenters throughout the semester, we'd really appreciate it. Takes like 2 or 3 minutes. You sit here and do it. You can get the QR code and do it while you're walking back to your dorm or going to your apartment. But we really appreciate you all being here today. We'd like to thank Dr. Ghoshal, who was our consultant for this launch. She works at the Career Development Center with first-year engineering students, and she's an awesome career counselor. And also Miss Bullock, Miss Marcy Bullock, who stood up and helped us out earlier. She is in charge of us, and Alex Rishuti. Yes, who also helps us grow. He gives us feedback, and he'll be here every Monday, so make sure you get to know him as well. Thank you all, and if you have any questions, feel free to come up and
here
here
as long
after.
as you need us.
And let me just reiterate, this is the first week of launch. We want you to come back next week. It's going to be resumes. As you can see, it's a packed crowd, so definitely get here early. And if you come to 6 in one semester, we have a super fun celebration at the end in April where you get a t-shirt and you get signed certificate from your dean and you get to shake hands, and we have a really nice meal here in Tally. So just check out all the dates online and pick the 6 you want to come to. At the LinkedIn workshops, we will have professional photographers there ready to take your headshots. Those will all be free. And so they did a great job tonight. Let's give them a hand.
And once you're done filling out this survey, you're more than welcome to leave. We'll hang back if you have any more questions you want to ask us. Thank you guys.